Three siblings and a longtime family friend have been playing together as Cowboy Junkies for over 35 years. June 2nd, they're going to be releasing their new album. Is this your 20th album?
I have no idea. I kind of stopped counting. It depends on whether it's a studio album or live albums or, greatest hits or cover records. I don't know. It's up there anyway.
I'm talking to Michael Timmins of Cowboy Junkies, and you have an Ontario fall tour coming up. And this new album, I've been listening to the two songs that have been released on the online platforms, and I love them. Hard to build, easy to break. It really brings me back to the 90s and when I was first introduced to you guys. And it's great to talk to someone that's been in a band I've been listening to my whole life. Are you guys celebrating 38 years as a band?
No, let me think.
1985?
Oh, yeah. Is it 38? Oh, something like that. Yeah.
Such Ferocious Beauty is the title of your new album. And the cover art, the moth, what's the significance of that?
It's funny you asked that. Like, my brother Peter, who drums in the band, did the artwork, and he came up with that image before he even knew the title of the album. At first I sort of looked at it and I thought, it's really beautiful, but I'm not sure it works. And then he sort of hammered it home to me that, there's sort of like, there's this sort of, the idea of such ferocious beauty is the idea of life, of being, it's a very beautiful thing, but it also can be very difficult and very hard. And so the idea of the moth being this very beautiful creature, but only if you look at it very closely. Otherwise, people tend to get all freaked out and see a big moth flying out from start running and getting scared. But it's actually, exceptionally a beautiful creature. So that's sort of the idea.
And they're really amazing, too. I was watching a video of a monarch butterfly going in as a caterpillar and coming out as a monarch, and it was sped up. A caterpillar's legs are not that long when they come out as a butterfly. They're huge legs. Like, it's a miracle.
Yeah, it is, for sure. That's the idea. The transformation, too, can be in there as well, Life is like that, right? It's always changing, always evolving. It can be terrible, but ultimately very beautiful.
The first track on the album is What I Lost, and it's got a different moth. Are there going to be different moth for each song?
Yeah. It's really just that's just the outline of the cover plus some touching up that Pete did. So, I guess online for the first three songs that got released before the record, there'll be that different artwork for them.
And going back to that song, What I Lost, now you write the lyrics, but your family's gone through quite a bit over the last year or two. Has that affected this album and your writing style?
Not necessarily my style, but there's definitely an effect on the content, the lyrical content, and the themes, and again, getting back to the Such Ferocious Beauty side of it. In the last 4 years, I guess, on either side of COVID, we lost our mother and our dad. So, it's been a hard 4 years, and then even more difficult was my dad had suffered from dementia. So his last year, especially, was pretty difficult, and that happened over COVID. So it was a pretty intense period. So definitely the themes of impermanence and change and are throughout the records, throughout the songs. So it definitely influenced that side of things for sure.
I really love the lyric, take the poison from your head, now give it one good shake. Is there repercussions of like how the world is now that we've gone through the pandemic? There's
definitely a sociological side to the writing as well. As I say, I think the one word that describes these songs is impermanence, and that can be from a micro view where it's personal relationships, whether it be with our father or within one's family, but also there's the macro view of the idea of the the incredible upheaval and change of the ways we look at institutions and the way we act around certain things that have taken place over the last few years. So that's in there as well. That I think that line was inspired by more of the sociological things that have changed over the last few years.
So when you write the lyrics, do you have an idea of how you want the music, or is the music planned after the lyrics are written?
They kind of feed each other, Interesting, that song you quoted, which is from Hard to Build, Easy to Break. The music of that is written with Alan Anton, who's the bass player in the band, and he basically sent me that bass groove and basically the rhythm, the structure of the song musically, and then I wrote the lyrics to that. So in that song in particular, like the music came first, and then it inspired me to write the music or the lyrics around it. But there's lots of songs too where, you know, I'll have a lyrical idea and a musical idea, and sort of try them out together, and then that'll further influence the lyric, which will then further influence the music, so they'll grow together. So they're all different. It's very rare that I'll write a standalone lyric without any music, but it's more normal for me to do them both together, and then also more normal for me to sort of have a musical idea and then write to that.
That Hard to Build, Easy to Break, that song, I think, is going to be huge. And that bass line is pretty awesome. Like it
is awesome.
It really sounds, and when the guitar kicks in, it really brings me back. It sounds very 90s. And of course, your sister's voice is, well, we all have Sweet Jane as in the soundtrack to our life, I think. It's just,
for sure.
It is such a huge song. Are there any guest musicians on this album?
Not very many. There's James Mackay, who's people probably don't know him, but he's a Toronto musician. He plays the fiddle, that sort of violin on 3 or 4 of the tracks, and then trying to think who else is on it. I think that's it. There's very few guests on this one. You know, each record is very different, so sometimes we'll have there's some records where we've had 20 players on it, 20 different players, and some where it's just been 1 or 2 or 3 extra players. But yeah, I think James is the only one that's really on there.
Okay, and did you record this in Toronto?
Yes, we did, yeah. And we have our own studio here, so we recorded it here.
The pre-sale is available at cowboyjunkies.com, and of course it'll be available on all of the platforms online. This tour, you're going to be doing a tour this fall?
Yeah, so we're touring now, and then we're out on the West Coast down through Pacific Northwest in California in July, and through Arizona and that area, and then we do Ontario. We're going to be doing a run through Ontario in September, so that should be fun, and pretty much all the major cities in Southern Ontario anyways.
Okay, are you doing any festivals this summer?
No, not one festival.
Okay. We're excited to see you come to Ontario and play all of it from Windsor, Sarnia, Guelph, Toronto, Kingston, Peterborough. It's going to be great, and there's still a few tickets available, but people should grab those up as soon as possible. Definitely do that. Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck on the tour you're on now and when we see you in Ontario.
Great. Thanks a lot.